Hello and welcome to the channel and welcome to a Doctor Who reaction. This is season 11 episode 3, Rosa. But before that, comments from the last episode. I should do a title sequence, or maybe not. So many of you commented on your who you think Jodie Whittaker reminds you of the past Doctors. I said Peter Davison. Many of you have agreed with that, and many have said Patrick Troughton, which is kind of predictable really, because I think Peter Davison kind of modelled his Doctor on Patrick Troughton. I always think of Patrick Troughton and Peter Davison's Doctor as being very, very similar anyway. So yeah, I think we're all on the same vibe of what we're getting from this Doctor, which is good. Game Master Toolbox. If this is the worst episode of the season, we're going to be fine. Are you quoting me? I'm sure I've said that about an episode before now. Yes. If that is indeed the worst episode of this season, then we are going to be fine. I do not think it's going to be the worst episode though. I think we're going to have an episode in this series that is a stinker, and that we can all agree is a stinker. I don't think that was one of them. Not all of you liked the episode. I personally did. The Timeless Child, what do you think was meant by that? When I watched the episode the first time, I didn't think anything of it. Otherwise I would have commented and you'd have seen that in the reaction. It kind of passed me by. It wasn't until I edited that video that I picked up on it. What do I think is meant by it? Susan? Romana? What else has been considered? Omega? The Guardians? I don't think it's any of that. I don't think we're going to get a series arc. Could be wrong, but I think that it was referring to the Doctor herself, herself. I don't think it was anything more than distraction tactics, trying to get inside the Doctor's head as a hunting technique, like they were designed to do. As for the stanza, I think that's what they're called, or the stenza, I don't think that's going to be a story arc or a season arc either. I think we've met them. I know we've met them. What am I talking about? We've met them, and now we're getting backstories of how terrible and evil they are. I think basically Chibnall is setting us up for another Daleks. He's trying to create a fearsome ultimate enemy to replace the Daleks with, because he doesn't want to fall back on old enemies. I had a comment. I can't remember who it was by now. I've just closed down the comment section, so I forgot to look it up, which said, I do not like this episode, which referring to Ghost Monument. I didn't like this episode, but that does not negate my status as a fan. No, it doesn't. Absolutely not. And I would definitely not agree with you. I will tell you now that there are very, very few Doctor Who episodes I hate. There's a few I dislike, but those ones I can usually find something to like about it somewhere, even if it's very tenuous. Even Love and Monsters has the music of ELO in it, and Sleep No More was a very well-conceived story that just didn't pan out well in practice. But I liked the story in theory. No, but there are three episodes of New Who that I hate. I cannot find anything good to say about these 3 episodes. But that does not negate my status as a fan either. You're still a fan, of course you are. And anyone that says otherwise is just wrong. Which 3 episodes? I'll tell you at the end of this. If you want to take a guess at which 3 episodes, I tell you, it's not Sleep No More, and it's not Love and Monsters. But if you want to take a guess what 3 it is, I'll tell you at the end of this video. Right now, we're going to get on with the reaction. So, episode 3, Rosa. Rosa. Is this a planet? Is this a person? Actually, I'm going to confess, I do know that this is referring to Rosa Parks. And it'd be interesting to find out a little bit about Rosa Parks, because beyond what she did and where that led, I know very little about her. I do know that her deliberate act of sitting where she shouldn't have sat, where language, I hate it. The act of defiance, that's the word I was looking for. The act of defiance that she is famous for was not an isolated occurrence, and it wasn't an accident either. She was a equal rights activist at the time. I do know that. But aside from that, and being a kind of an American hero, I don't know that much about her, because I'm British and we don't really cover American history in British history classes. Okay, we're gonna do this. I wonder if it's gonna be a purely historical. That'd be fantastic. Getting a purely historical. I love purely historical. I doubt it though. They're bound to throw some. So, oh, and we're gonna get a proper look at the TARDIS as well, aren't we? Oh, that's gonna be a key moment. Seeing it with proper lighting, hopefully. Oh yeah, about that, yeah. Spring Forest. Apparently that was what they were going for. Like the gaps in the trees of a forest canopy. Apparently. I'm glad I picked up on that one. Let's go. It's just Rosa Parks when she's younger. Oh no, oh, okay. This is the... I thought it happened in the 50s.
That way's not for colors. Get off, go around the back and get on there. That's your entrance.
Really?
You know that.
I didn't know that.
I don't see the...
If you ain't going through that back door, you're getting off my bus.
Sonny, let me go. Please don't do that. Stop! You better not hit me.
Get out that door!
How can anyone see this and think that that's right, that that's fair? Oh, chills me.
Hey!
Oh my God. Sorry, that was just a little bit too real for me. Oh, I like it. I like the materialisation.
Nearly. Because this is our 9th attempt.
9th.
You can't control this thing, can you?
Excuse me? Yes, I can.
Oh, she's losing control of it.
Just sometimes
Doctor.
I feel it has a mind of its own. Where are we?
I know why.
Actually?
I know why.
United States.
Excuse me.
Oh, Christ.
Drop this.
Hey, get your filthy black hands off my wife.
Stop! Sir, please, take a step back.
Problem here, Mr. Steele. Step away now. Go ahead, step away.
These friends of yours?
No, sir. Just on my lunch break, wondering if I can help out with any misunderstanding. Next thing, they find his body in the river. You want that to be you?
No.
Did your mother raise you with no manners? I will take a no, ma'am.
Oh,
No, Mom.
You all together?
Yes, we're very grateful, Miss.
Mrs. Parks, Rosa Parks.
No way.
You're kidding.
Brilliant. Rosa Parks. Lovely to meet you, Rosa Parks. Big fan.
Excuse me?
Oh dear. Oh dear. He's got tech he shouldn't have.
No.
He knows what that is.
Maybe you are. Blue box in the alley. Is it a TARDIS?
Might be. What's it?
He knows what a TARDIS is.
Nah, not that one. Second hand. Huge mileage. One careless owner. Mind you, it's better than a vortex manipulator, like the one on your wrist. Cheap and nasty.
Oh my god, is he a time agent?
So what do you want with Rosa Parks?
You happen to know a couple of mongrels? Hmm? Negro boy? Mexican girl?
I don't recognize anyone by that description.
Yep.
The,
Nice one.
Negroes
Nice
going
one.
around picking fights with upstanding citizens. Huh. You appreciate it's an offense to harbor colors in a room here.
We're not harboring anyone who doesn't have a right to be here.
Oh, you've gone looking for him, he's been looking for you. Or he's been waiting for you. Is he a robot or is he a time agent? That's my only theories on this one. Certainly not a Time Lord.
Oops. Shame. You just sent all your equipment to goodness knows where. 79th century, judging by the weapon setting. Which... You've obviously got a problem with Rosa. Why don't you just kill her? But the answer is, because you can't. Neural restrictor means you can't kill or injure any living thing. It stops you from doing it, no matter how much you want to try.
Any living
So
thing?
even if I do this, smash your vortex manipulator. Yeah, there it is. Kicking in, tied to your brain chemistry.
She took a chance there.
Can't harm me. As much as you want to.
You think that makes a difference? History changes when tiny things don't go to plan.
You mean tomorrow? Won't work. Not while I'm here.
Well, let's see.
He's too cocky. We still don't know actually what his plan is.
And this is Dr. King from Dexter Avenue Baptist Church.
Martin Luther King.
That's correct. Oh my days. My nan loves you. Your name?
He's not famous yet.
Grandma.
He hasn't made the speech.
Love your sermons, Martin.
Thank you, Martin Luther King.
Stop using his full
Good
name.
to know that you said that.
Ryan.
Excuse me, Dr. King. Yes, Rosa Parks?
Stop saying people's full names.
Save your coffee now.
Check every bus stop along Blake's route. Tell the waiting passengers that the bus is coming and they have to wait.
Okay.
Do not let any of the passengers walk. The bus has to be full. It has to be crowded enough so that Rosa is expected to move.
All right, got it.
Now, Graham.
They're actually setting it up. They're setting up history themselves, aren't they?
And not wiring it.
And what are you going to do now, Cassie Cow? Whatever your name is. He's getting a bit angry.
She won't protest, and your kind won't get above themselves.
Oh, he is a supremacist.
Your kind. Stay in your place.
Mate, you're living in the past. In fact, you like the past that much. So why don't you stay there? Oh! Oh! It worked.
Oh.
Nice one, Ryan. Thanks, Ryan. Move the car, clear the route, find the boss. And Rosa
I think Doctor might have something to say about that. Oh well, she can always go and find him with the TARDIS. They've set up history. They've set up history. They did it all along. So a causal loop.
We're good, right?
What's the matter?
Causal loop. Yeah, I'm sure it's a causal loop.
Don't get off, Graham. If we get off, there's enough empty seats for white passengers. Rosa won't be asked to move. We have to stay on.
We were here. We're part of the story.
Yeah.
Part of history.
Oh, no, I don't want to be part of this.
We have to. I'm sorry. We have to not help her.
Yes. Oh my God.
I'm gonna need those seats back there.
Sit back down. Sit back down. No. Oh yeah. There's some epic music going on in the background there.
Stand up now. If you don't stand, I'm gonna have you arrested.
You've got to.
You may do that.
And in June 1999, Rosa receives the Congressional Medal from President Clinton, the highest award given to any civilian, recognizing her as a living icon for freedom.
It took so long, though. Her whole life.
Yes, it did.
I need a minute, I think. That was some powerful stuff. Give me a minute. Okay, so it's been an hour since I watched it and I still can't really put into words how I feel about this. I liked it. I liked the episode a lot. It was very emotional. It was quite distressing seeing the visualisation of segregation of that era, not an era that I'm familiar with. I still kind of don't like the new cinematic feel to the show. I still can't say why. It just... The scene at the end where the music is playing, which may or may not have been included in this reaction because of copyright, the song in the background with the song playing and the overlaid visuals of Rosa Parks getting arrested, her looking back at the Doctor with that sort of look of that betrayed look on her face, and she was betrayed there. That was a heartbreaking moment, but it felt too cinematic. I wish they just played that scene straight with dialogue like they did the rest of the episode, like faced that ending head on. Kind of feel as though overlaying it with an emotional track kind of, it was a cheap way out. It was a cheap emotional trick, and that scene was emotional enough without that. As for the music in this episode, and indeed in the last couple of episodes, I've come to like the incidental music. It is very reminiscent of the 70s music, with that very chromatic feel. The theme tune, I absolutely adore the theme tune. I love that bass at the beginning where it starts up and then sort of sucks itself back in again and then explodes into that sort of very almost modern psychedelic version. Very reminiscent of, again, the 70s. You can tell where this composer has got his inspiration from. Very reminiscent of the 70s theme music, and especially the visuals where they're like the mirrored section. Very reminiscent of John Pertwee's. And I was watching a John Pertwee story just a couple of days ago, in fact. What did I put on? I put on Doctor Who and the Silurians, and I was particularly interested in the incidental music in that particular story. And then when I heard the soundtrack in this episode, I thought, yeah, I can see where the inspiration has come from. I just don't like the introduction of pop songs overlaid over emotional cutscenes. The Banksy jokes, they were so good. There's a YouTuber out there, you may know him, he does Game of Thrones reactions. He does them completely out of order. His name is Steve, and that Banksy joke just reminded me of him. It was that humour, or am I? Or is he? Is it? Oh. I just love that sort of humour. That did make me laugh. When the Doctor, it was a beautiful moment and such a well written line when the policeman was searching the room, and you know the way he asked his questions. I'm not going to repeat the lines. And the Doctor just turns around and says, "I don't recognise anyone by that description." That was just beautiful. It wasn't a lie. It was a lie, but it wasn't a lie. Just a little bit of wordplay. Marvellous. That's a shining moment in this. And the way they handled the humour in this episode, set against such a big moment and such a dismal and grey and dark time and dark setting, was spot on. Graham, brilliant. Ryan, excellent. It's just all round great. And the causal loop at the end, the fact that they actually set up the entire scenario in which Rosa Parks had to do that, and the betrayal of the end, where the Doctor says we can't help her, we have to not help her. And you can see that look that Rosa Parks gives as she's arrested and carted away. That I know it. You don't see it in the scene, but I know she was looking at the Doctor and Graham and thinking, I thought they were sympathetic to my, you know, to people of colour. I thought they were my friends. They were kind to me and they helped me, and then they turned their back. We know why the Doctor was doing it, but it cut me. That scene's cutting me now. I did say something in the reaction. It probably did make it into the final scene. I know why the TARDIS is misbehaving. I was watching a review of the Ghost Monument by Council of Geeks. I think we all know Council of Geeks. And he mentioned about we're not going to get an answer to the reason why the TARDIS effectively kicked the Doctor out at the end of Twice Upon a Time. And he said in there that it was obviously a non-narrative reason. They did it for dramatic effect to end the episode, and there isn't any real narrative reason for that to have happened, and that we're never going to get an explanation for it. And while I agree that we probably might not get an explanation on screen for it, I disagree that there is no narrative reason for it. And it leads on to why the TARDIS is misbehaving in this episode and not bringing them to the right time and place. 14 attempts, apparently. The TARDIS is, or at least was, and maybe still is, extremely angry with the Doctor. Not this Doctor, the 12th Doctor. And the reason is the Doctor refused to regenerate. Twice Upon a Time was all about his refusal to regenerate. And I think that really angered the TARDIS, because the TARDIS is essentially immortal. And the Doctor is A, her friend, and B, the only companion she'll probably ever have that will last and live almost as long as she will. And he refused to regenerate. He was essentially committing suicide, or contemplating suicide, leaving the TARDIS alone forever. Now think of it from the TARDIS's point of view. Wouldn't you just be, once the situation has been resolved and your friend is out of danger and not suicidal anymore, wouldn't you just be a little bit pissed that they would contemplate leaving you alone for an eternity? At least that's my theory. At least that's the theory of my friend's wife, who came up with that idea, and I love that theory. And I think that is a really, really good narrative reason why the TARDIS kicked her out. You contemplated leaving me on my own? Well, boom, off you go. You know how it feels to be alone without me. And wow, all the way through Ghost Monument and The Woman Who Lived, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, she really needed her TARDIS, and it wasn't around. The 3 episodes that I hate, did you guess correctly? They are The Lazarus Experiment, Kill the Moon, and the worst episode of Doctor Who ever written, and unfortunately from the same series as Kill the Moon, Robot of Sherwood. Now, I absolutely loved Peter Capaldi's Doctor, and some of his episodes are some of the best of New Who. But Season 8 was a stinker, sorry, that's my opinion. Season 8 was 50% bad and 50% pretty good. There you know, that doesn't reduce my fan status in the least, as far as I'm concerned. If you think it does, then not a lot I can do about that, really. This episode actually did get me a little bit rolled up. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for these lovely people for their continued support. Life would be a lot less YouTube-y for me without these people. See you next time.